Hello and welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker, and if you think that I've only looked at Chinese teas, that would be a mistake, because I do look at Darjeelings, Kenyans, black teas. What else have we looked at? Of course, today we're looking at a Japanese, and this is outside of the usual dry leaf, wet leaf liquor comparison, because this is a matcha. So we're going to go ahead and get this matcha started. Matcha can be a little more finicky sometimes, so there's some steps that we want to talk about and look at as we do. First off, I should note that we're going to be using some extra or different equipment, and this actually comes from or together with the MatchaSource, which is the company that is providing this tea. The MatchaSource provides a set. You get the matcha that we're going to be talking about in just a moment, the bamboo scoop, a sifter, we'll be talking about why use a sifter, the whisk here as well, and finally, of course, the bowl. So let's go ahead and get this started. First thing I'm going to do is, matcha usually prefers cooler water around 180 degrees or below, and that just means that we want to give our water some time to cool. So I'm going to pour it into the pitcher. Now you're going to see I'm going to be using between 2 and 3 ounces is what that volume is right there. The other thing I'm going to do, I want my water to cool. The other thing I prefer, and some people will pull their hair out when they see this, but I'm going to actually pour my water into my bowl for a couple of reasons. One, that helps cool the water. It slightly brings up the temperature of the bowl just a little bit. Third, when you put your matcha, the powder, in there, it can be very fine, and if it's on a dry surface, of course, it's going to float away as dust. So I want the surface of my bowl to be slightly damp so that the powder sticks to the bowl and doesn't escape. So I'm going to take my sifter here, because matcha tea powder like this can clump, and we don't want those clumps. It will dissolve much more smoothly if it is not clumped. So I'm going to take my scoop, and I'm getting out what is often referred to as an almond size scoop, about like that. And I'm going to put that in there. And let me set this aside. Keep that dry, keep that out of moisture. And I'm going to pat this matcha powder in, spreading it around, not just piling up in the center, because I want it to dissolve smoothly and quickly in the water. Now I'm going to get down to the end here, and you're going to get some clumps. Now clumps form due to moisture. Clumps also form due to static electricity can create clumps, so it's not necessarily about your tea not being dry. So, alright, I'm getting down to where it's just about only clumps, and just to assure that I've got the same volume that I started out with, I'm going to take my scoop and I'm just going to pat those clumps out smoothly. Of course, you can kind of brush that. It will actually pass through the sifter there, and that looks good. Kind of give it a few taps, get a little bit of the matcha that's stuck to this spoon here off. But that should take care of most of that. There we go. Now for the water, I'm going to add it kind of moving around. I don't want to add all in one place. I want this to dissolve as smoothly as possible. There we are. And now for the whisk. The whisk is actually made of bamboo as far as the handle goes, and it's hollow. So for me, it's much more convenient to actually put my index finger in there to help kind of give it a faster whisking motion. You're going to draw W shapes in the water. You can do it as quickly as possible to build up a froth and dissolve as much of the matcha as possible. Bowls like this are designed specifically for this purpose. You'll find that it will help you develop a froth on top of the liquor. Now you're noticing that we're not talking much about the dry leaf. I'm going to take a moment here in just a second to do that. But I'm building up a good, nice little heady froth here on the top. And it's collecting mostly around the edges, but that helps us dissolve there. Okay. Okay, I will toss for just a moment now. I need to introduce this tea. I had to get through the process here so I didn't cool my water too much. But this tea is from MatchaSource. This is their Morning Matcha Classic grade, and this is a thin style. Thin or thick, you're going to be adjusting really, depending on how much water to tea ratio that you prefer. You could do a teaspoon with 1.5 ounces of water. You could do 2 scoops, almond-sized scoops with this, with about 3 ounces of water. It's going to depend on your taste, really. That's good. So let that be your guide. Okay. You want to be sure to whisk it well. You want to be sure to dissolve the tea as thoroughly as possible. And again, you want to use water that's cooler water, and then even the tea as it cools tends to have a more pronounced, even sweeter taste as it cools. So this tea, I should mention, 30 grams. It comes in a sealed container with a pull tab. 30 grams for $33. You do want to refrigerate this after you open it. And that could be a factor whether if you're thinking about using this in an office type situation or other places that don't have refrigeration. Keep that in mind. This is an organic tea. This is certified organic by Japanese agriculture standards, not necessarily USDA organic. It's from the Nishio region, which is to the east of the Uji region. Okay. And yeah, so I do want to show a little bit about this. There's not really a lot to say about the powder under the dry leaf itself. It is a powder. It is a bright, vibrant green. Okay, it's finely ground. So as far as comparing to other matchas that I've looked at in the past, this one does tend to have a bit of a brighter, lighter green-yellow type color to it, as opposed to someone can have a more of a deeper green-blue. This one's a slightly more green-yellow. That's about all to comment really on that. Let's go ahead. I'm swirling this around because I want to pour this into the pitcher so that you can see it a little bit more for yourself. Okay. I'm going to do this hopefully quickly enough so that I don't spill a lot. There we go. Nice few drops there. As you can see, it is a rich green. If you had put spinach in a food processor, it would be probably close to that green. If you made a thick, dense pea soup, it could be that green as well. You're getting a little bit of a sweetness smell combined with a metallic smell, taste kind of smell coming off, the aroma coming off of this. And when I say metallic, if you've ever put a nickel in your mouth, something about that nickel taste is just right there in this tea. Okay, so I'm going to pour this back in because I want to kind of enjoy it in the bowl here. All right. Now, there's different styles. You can kind of go with the traditional Japanese style of 2 hands. Okay, different characteristics will become more pronounced depending on how you prepare this tea. One of the things that's coming off with this tasting is it's got a chalky, powdery type texture to it. Okay. Second thing, there is a bit of a kind of a seaweedy type taste, but that's much more subdued. This tea has cooled off, and so you're left with a that metallic type of taste and feel. You're left with some sweetness there, and that sweetness is like I associate with something like sweet clover, that out of the meadow type. So there is a bit of a kind of a green sweetness there. With the texture being kind of chalky like that, and that sweetness there with the metallic, it really does not. It really kind of smooths out and rounds out any kind of astringency or bitterness. There really isn't. The bitterness and astringency are very low, and that's probably because of a combination again of the water and a volume of tea, and the fact that we've let this kind of cool down some. We didn't use the hottest water. You want to again use cooler water for this, but I'm swirling it around because it's starting to kind of separate. So I find I never did develop enough skill to keep it as a good frothy head, but that's one of the goals. Is when you're whisking, you do want to try to get as much, build up quite a bit of froth if you can. Okay, so looking at this tea as a whole, because it, in comparison with other matchas that I've tasted off camera in the past, this one's got, I would say, a nice smoother texture. It is chalky, but it's consistent. It covers the mouth. It gives a nice coating. The metallic feel taste is there. It's not as prominent as some others, but it still stands out, and you know, it's part of the character of a tea. Higher grades could probably dampen that down a little bit. The sweetness and the vegetal aspect are present as well, but yet those that the texture, the metallic and the vegetal sweetness part, like I said, kind of a sweet clover type of smell or taste, those round out and really overpower or cancel out a lot of the bitterness and astringency. And so that's why I give this tea an 89. Good showing. Again, there are others that it all depends on the grades. This is called a morning grade, and we can't really expect it to be as good as or as high a quality, say, as a ceremonial grade, which is often even more exquisite, even finer. So come back where we look to Walker Tea Review, where I'm looking at teas from all around the world. Perhaps you've discovered a tea that you want to see here, tasted here at Walker Tea Review, and you want to taste it with us. Go ahead and send that to me. Send me a tweet, give me a message on Facebook, or just a regular old email, and we'll get it here. We'll try to get it here on Walker Tea Review.